Alright, White Army, gather round because what I'm about to tell you will have your blood boiling and your hearts racing. The transfer window is closed, and let me tell you something. What's happened behind the scenes at Elland Road is an absolute scandal that every single member of the Whites faithful needs to know about. We're talking about 3 massive stories that have just exploded across Yorkshire, and trust me when I say this, each one of these bombshells will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about how this club is being run. We've got a creative midfielder who slipped through our fingers to Chelsea of all places. We've got missed opportunities that will make your head spin, and we've got PSR decisions that are absolutely tearing the fan base apart. Smash that like button right now if you're ready for the truth. And don't you dare scroll past without hitting subscribe, because this channel is the only place you'll get the raw, unfiltered reality of what's happening to our beloved Leeds United. I'm talking about transfer targets that chose Premier League benches over Elland Road glory. I'm talking about recruitment strategies that have left Daniel Farke desperately short of options. And I'm talking about financial decisions that could define our entire season. This isn't just transfer news. This is about the very soul of our club. Make sure you comment below and tell me what you think, because this story is going to shock you to your core. But first, let me tell you about a certain creative midfielder who was supposed to be wearing white this season. Here it is, White Army. The name that should be making Elland Road shake with excitement, but instead has left every single one of us feeling absolutely betrayed. Facundo Buonanotte. This Argentine wizard, this creative genius that Daniel Farke desperately needed to unlock our attack, was right there in our grasp. We're talking about a player who could have been the difference between championship survival and that promotion push we all dream about. But what happened? Chelsea came in at the last minute and stole him away like thieves in the night. Graham Smith has absolutely torn apart this transfer disaster, and his words will make every Whites fan's blood boil. He's questioning why on earth Buonanotte would choose to warm Chelsea's bench when he could have been the king of Elland Road. Why the hell did Buonanotte go to Chelsea? Smythe demanded, and he's absolutely right to be furious. Listen to this madness. Buonanotte went to Stamford Bridge thinking he'd play Champions League football. But guess what? They didn't even put him in their squad. He's sitting there watching from the sidelines while we're here, desperate for creativity in midfield. They've got Alejandro Garnacho. They've got attackers coming out of their ears. And our boys just rotting away on their bench. This isn't just about one player, White Army. This is about a recruitment strategy that's left us looking absolutely naive. Smith didn't hold back. There's an element where they think they've adapted or overcome situations too quickly. But the outside view is quite different from that of the supporters. The worst part? Buonanotte is still a Brighton player on loan. He could have come to Leeds, got regular football, developed his career, but instead he chose the glamour of London, and look where it got him. Absolutely nowhere. But wait until you hear about the midfielder we didn't sign, and why that might have been the right call after all. Now, White Army, let me drop another absolute bombshell on you that's going to completely change how you think about our transfer window. We're talking about Gus Hamer, the Sheffield United midfielder that half our fan base was screaming for us to sign. For months, Hamer was linked with Leeds United. This Dutch midfielder, this box-to-box destroyer who can play as a number 10, was supposed to be our answer to creativity problems. But here's the truth that Graham Smith has just revealed, and it's going to shock you. Smith has absolutely demolished the Hamer links. I never got the impression once during the window that Gustavo Hamer was a key target for Leeds, or even a firm target. He was just a name that was continually put out there. Can you believe this? Right! While we were all getting excited about Hamer potentially joining, the club wasn't even seriously pursuing him. It was all smoke and mirrors, a name thrown around as if to say we can always go and get him, when in reality there was nothing concrete happening. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Smith actually thinks we made the right decision. He's questioning whether Hamer would have been worth the PSR complications. In the Championship, I was completely sold on him. In the Premier League, I'm not so sold. Think about this logic, White Army. If we're struggling with PSR regulations, why spend massive money on a player who might not even cut it in the Premier League? Smith pointed out that signing Hamer would have meant we'd need to sell someone in January or pull off some commercial magic to stay within financial fair play. Meanwhile, look what we did get. Jayden Bogle for just $5 million, and Smythe is raving about him. Bogle was signed for $5 million. That is looking worse and worse for Sheffield United all the time, particularly with the way he started this season. But the biggest controversy is still to come, and it involves our very own Dutch vice-captain. White Army, prepare yourselves for the most controversial revelation of all. We're talking about Pascal Struijk, our Dutch vice-captain, the defender who could have been sold for massive PSR relief, but instead remains at Elland Road. And the fan base is absolutely split on whether this was genius or madness. Graham Smith has dropped an absolute bombshell that will have you questioning everything. Struijk, I don't know that the optics would be so bad on that. I would be a bit sad because I love watching Pascal Struijk play football, particularly when the ball's at his feet. Can you believe what you just heard? Our own Graham Smith is suggesting that selling Struijk wouldn't have caused the uproar that selling Tanaka or Willy Gnonto would have. He's questioning whether the fans are actually as attached to Pascal as the club thinks we are. But here's the kicker. Smythe has serious concerns about Struijk in the Premier League. I have concerns about him in the Premier League when it comes to the ball in behind him, particularly. These are fighting words for any Whites fan who's watched Pascal boss championship attacks for years. Villarreal was circling, ready to take Struijk off our hands for good money. That could have helped with PSR. But the 49ers kept him. Daniel Farke called him a colossus after the Everton game, praising his leadership and defensive dominance. But is sentiment clouding judgment? Tony Dorigo thinks Struijk is superb, but Smythe is asking the hard questions. If you sell a Pascal to get a Rodrigo Muniz or an Igor Paixão, you still need to go and get a center back. So you're not really deep enough at center back, are you? This is the reality check every White needs to hear. We kept our squad together, but at what cost? Are we so attached to players that we're missing opportunities to strengthen where we really need it? The brutal truth is that Daniel Farke might have Struijk on his protected list of 5 untouchable players, but should sentiment override sensible business? The 40-year-old swears 49ers are walking a financial tightrope, and every decision could make or break our Premier League survival. Smith isn't convinced keeping everyone was the masterclass the club thinks it is. I don't know that the plan to keep everyone is really the boast that they would think it is. Tanaka was signed for peanuts and is now worth millions. That's the kind of recruitment genius we need more of. But Struijk? The jury's still out on whether sentiment trumps sense. White Army, this transfer window has exposed everything. Our naive approach to top targets, our questionable priorities, and the brutal PSR reality that's shaping every decision we make. We missed out on Buonanotte, never really chased Hamer, and kept Struijk when selling him might have given us the flexibility to strengthen elsewhere. Smash that like button if this has opened your eyes to what's really happening at Elland Road. Subscribe and hit the notification bell because this is just the beginning. The question that's burning in every Whites fan's heart right now. Are we building something special, or are we making the same mistakes that have held us back for years? Comment below and let me know. Was keeping the squad together genius or the biggest mistake of the summer? Marching on together.